We are back on Taking Care of Business on Kern Radio, News Talk 1180, 1230 KGEO, and 1410 KERI.
Hey, are we going to talk with our guest about his situation?
Yes, our in-studio guest is Mick Gleason.
Mick Gleason.
Candidate for Supervisor District here in Kern County. So I took one of Clay's pills and a glass of water here, so I guess I'm doing better now. I'm calmed down a little bit, okay?
You're back sitting down.
I'm
looking
back
good,
sitting
cool,
down.
calm, and
Yeah,
collected. There
okay,
you go.
okay.
So I have a question for you, Mick.
Marty.
I have a question
Yeah,
for you,
it's-
Mick. I've been
it's
watching what's been
infuriating.
happening in the paper recently, and I wanted to know, are you running for this office, or is Mark Abernathy running for this office?
Unbelievable.
Ooh, that's good.
Unbelievable. I get it all the time. I think that as a political tactic, Roy is using some type of strategy where he is associating me with Abernathy and attacking Abernathy because he can't attack me, and he's trying to bring that into play, and it's really, not a factor at all. It's a red herring. It has nothing to do with my campaign or what I'm doing or what my message is. Nothing at all.
You know what the comical thing is, Mick? Early on in Roy's career, you know who he hired to help him?
Right.
Was Mark Abernathy. The
Right.
same Mark Abernathy that he's attacking now.
Right.
I want to make sure it wasn't anybody different. It's the same guy.
Right. It's the same guy. It's the same story. It's
Right.
just a
Right.
political ploy. He's, we have Shannon Grove came out with an interesting comment in the paper about public record.
Mm-hmm.
And all of a sudden, Roy is saying that's dirty politics. I don't understand where he gets that. And then he's drawing that line between Mark Abernathy. He brings Mark Abernathy in because he can't bring me into it. It's just interesting.
So Roy is trying to attack you on the character issue.
Yeah, Roy is somehow trying to throw mud pies and splatter me and through Mark Abernathy.
I guess that's similar to Rudy Salas doing what he's doing to Pedro when you think about it.
I tell you, I listen to the radio a lot driving. I spend a lot of time in the car driving to Delano and Shafter and all that kind of stuff. I hear a lot of those ads on the radio, and it's not really impressive. I don't think Kern County appreciates that type of campaign.
Well,
It doesn't fly here.
Yeah.
It seems that Roy had a lot of old friends join him and endorse him.
Yeah.
But what about his new friends?
That's interesting. That's a really interesting statement and observation because the guy spent 35 years in politics. I'm sure he's made a lot of relationships and has a lot of friends. And I don't knock any of those guys and ladies for endorsing Roy. I find that's just a matter of how those people work, and that's fine. But the new relationships, the Gil Cedillos, the other people who are, much more liberal in nature than we are as a community, endorsing him from Sacramento and all over the place. That's interesting. And how's that going to impact Roy's decision making once he's in office? Fortunately, we're not going to have to know that.
Well, it's interesting that he also received an appointment from Governor Schwarzenegger after he termed out in Sacramento.
Right.
That was I guess, a reward for voting against the Republican Party.
Right. That's just. I don't know what happened there. I don't know what happened there, so I'm afraid to comment on that. But that's an observation that's true. I mean, it's there.
Well, let me see. It's one of those things where it's a little bit like if it sounds like a duck and it walks like a duck, the chances are it's probably a duck.
A duck, right?
Yeah,
I hear you.
So here it is. He's the one Republican who broke ranks and voted for the increased taxes, and all of a sudden, after he retires, he gets an appointment from Schwarzenegger.
Well, it's interesting.
Coincidence, I guess.
It's also interesting that Roy had made a statement after he got arrested that he would have changed his vote on several items. But now I'm wondering how he will vote as a supervisor.
I forgot Roy was arrested. That's right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But we don't want to go there.
Well, I don't mind going there, but I don't think our candidate wants to go there.
I can't. No. Really, honestly.
No, we're not going to put you in a position.
Right.
We won't go there. No,
Thanks.
We won't go there. We'll leave that one alone. But speaking of leadership, tell us your leadership qualifications.
Right. Well, I spent 27 years in the Navy, and you don't spend 27 years in the Navy, or you don't spend a minute in the Navy without learning that to be successful, you need to be a leader. It doesn't matter whether you're an E1 enlisted person or you're an officer. It has no bearing on it. Everything you do, and it's 24/7. When you're wearing the uniform and when you're not wearing the uniform, especially when you're overseas, you need to be always on top of your game, and you need to be a leader, and you need to be someone who's respected. And that's not an easy thing to learn. Leadership is not something you're born with. Leadership is a skill set that you learn and you develop over the years. So I'm proud to say that I learned that, and I was steeped in that for 27 years, and I watched leadership, and I saw good leaders, and I saw bad leaders, and I learned from everybody. And fortunately, I learned so much that it got me to where I was. Got me into a jet, got me into the right aircraft carrier at the right place at the right time, where during Desert Storm, I earned the Junior Officer Leadership Award for work that my squadron did while we were over there. Our job was to destroy the Iraqi Navy, and we did it in 10 days.
Wow.
It was a phenomenal feat.
Wow. We're having a conversation with Mick Gleason, candidate for 1st Supervisor District in Kern County. Well, you don't achieve what you achieved as far as being a commanding officer of a base like China Lake without having some kind of exceptional leadership skills.
But leadership is all about it's so many things come into play with leadership. It's about building teams. It's about surrounding yourself with excellence. It's about making good decisions. It's about having a moral core to who you are and what you're doing, and it's all about building success, understanding issues, communicating well, motivating people, bringing people into the solution rather than ostracizing them and casting them aside. It's about getting a diversified perspective and then being able to make the right decision at the right time. And you learn that and you build that skill, and some people are good at it and some people aren't.
Mm-hmm. Leadership is part of it. Respect is another part of it.
Right.
And I think you earn respect just like you become a leader.
Right. First and foremost, Clay, in leadership, and I think anyone will tell you this, is you have to stand for something.
Mm-hmm.
If you stand for something and people identify and understand what you stand for, then that's the first step. If you don't stand for anything, and if you don't have a strong moral rudder, you're not going anywhere. People need to look at you and say, okay, I agree with him or disagree with him, that's fine. Mm-hmm. Doesn't matter. But I understand who he is. And when you've achieved that, then you've taken the first step.
Exactly.
Got a question for you.
Go for it.
If you get elected, which I believe you are going to get elected personally, especially with the endorsement of the Clay and Marty show, that's the key thing.
Well, this is it, man. This is it.
Yeah, that'll put you over the edge.
Right here.
Keep in mind, every endorsement is only one vote.
Yeah, right.
Which is very interesting.
Ours is 2.
Well, 2 votes. Okay. But
you guys are only voting once? Oh, we got 3. What's this guy? We got 3.
Greg. Yeah, Greg. You got Greg.
Greg.
Well,
Okay, Greg.
This isn't Chicago where you vote early and vote often.
But when you get up there to vote on issues that come before the board, are you going to vote based on your personal feeling, or how are you going to vote?
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you, I bring my values to anything I do. When I wake up in the morning, I'm brushing my teeth. Everything I do from the beginning of the day to the end of the day, I have certain core values that who I am, and I don't violate them. But that doesn't necessarily mean that every decision I make will have impact on those core values. There are a lot of decisions that don't have those core values, that don't touch on those things. So what I need to do, and the way I will go about it, is understand the issue. First and foremost is to understand the issue. I need to get a perspective on, understand the facts, gain as many perspectives as I can on the facts, understand that I don't have I'm not a vote of one. It's just not me, and I'm the king of the vote. I need to understand what everybody's thinking, everybody's doing, and then make a decision based on the best possible perspective I can gain.
Historically, there's always been a little bit of a rift between the city and the county. How can you restore some of that?
Well, I think that a great example is the animal control collaboration that the city is working with the county, and they're working together to create efficiency, reduce costs, and to create increase in performance. So I look forward to finding ways to working with Ken and Jackie and other city council persons to develop a better relationship, create efficiencies, and to improve performance. I willingly embrace working with others to get things done.
Now, will you have any problem working with, say, David Couch, who endorsed your opponent?
Now, David was everybody has a right to be wrong. David just exercised that right. I love him dearly. I don't know Dave that well, but when I've met him, I think I respect him. I think he's a nice guy. He's just wrong.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. There's going back to the leadership issue for a second. Yeah. I've had this conversation, and actually some of the talks I've given on leadership, one of the examples I use is Jimmy Carter versus Ronald Reagan. Jimmy Carter micromanaged. I mean, there's a story about him leaning out the window at the White House, telling a gardener what to do in the Rose Garden. What the heck is the President of the United States doing spending that kind of time? Where Reagan would surround himself with people, as you mentioned, he'd surround himself with people that had the expertise that he didn't have, so he could pick their brains and get the correct answer. That to me is leadership.
Right.
Being able to gather the people that know things that you don't know because you don't know everything.
Right.
And be able to pick and choose and make an intelligent decision.
You know, it's interesting you brought that up. You're absolutely right. There's another element to that, too. It is vision.
Mm-hmm.
And Jimmy Carter's vision was to sit in a sweater and to bundle up.
Mm-hmm.
And Ronald Reagan's vision was absolutely opposite of that. He was saying, let's go get them. Let's take a global perspective. Let's build on American pride. Let's be who we were destined to be and move out.
Yes.
And that was a difference in vision and how those guys perceived life.
Yes.
Obama's vision is to go play golf and basketball.
Yes.
Yeah.
And Mick, unfortunately, we're out of time.
Bummer.
We would love to have you back after
Anytime.
you win the election. Okay?
Anytime. I would be
Great.
thrilled to do that.
You have our endorsement.
Thank you.
We will be back in 167 hours on Taking Care of Business on Kern Radio. News Talk 1180.